Hello, SourceFedNerd Anime Club. It's me, Jenny, aka ClassyLibrarian, and this week's anime was Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2012, which is a tongue twister. And my quick review for this is it's a very fun film. I particularly recommend watching it if you're old enough to remember the late 80s and early 90s. It's very fun. It's very frivolous. It's kind of silly and entertaining. It's got a reasonable amount of female nudity towards the end, although they are all Barbie dolled. So once I got used to that, I didn't mind it so much. There's a lot of kind of really fun messages about friendship and co-work. It's kind of like a Charlie's Angels meets Power Rangers sort of thing, as far as I can tell. I've watched all of it now. It's only 26 episodes. So if you're after a fun flick with girls and mecha suits fighting scary tentacle living tissue / robot creatures, watch it. It's incredibly fun. There's particularly a couple of episodes in the middle which are kind of a bit Die Hardish, where they're all stuck in one building and they've got boomers coming up from down below, and it's awesome, and I love those episodes. So it's really fun, and I would definitely recommend it, particularly if you're old enough to remember the 80s and 90s. On the other hand, for a modern audience, there's quite a lot of things in this anime that are rather jarring. There's the overall evil of this, which is the idea of biological technology, which is not really a concept that modern audiences really can buy into. At least I had problems buying into it. Once I kind of accepted it as a fantasy rather than a sci-fi, I kind of got into it a bit more, but the idea that technology can be that biological and that able to move around without using a huge amount of energy kind of took my brain a little while to get used to. Also, a lot of the design for the physical design within this world is very, very 80s. The fashion, the hairstyles, the building design feels very 80s. The vision of the future feels very 80s. The concept that all the keyboards are just plain black screens and then you press buttons and they light up, so you just have to know where they are. And there's also still a mouse, and the keyboards are really clunky, and there's still a lot of cabling, which is, a very 80s vision of the future, which is not a problem. It's just not particularly sci-fi for a modern audience. It's very alternate future. So, it's not a problem. It just took a little while to get used to. Along the same lines, there's the music, which every single episode is named after a reference to 80s music, which I kind of got a couple of them, but not all of them. I'm too young to actually know the 80s. But there's a couple of things in there that it was really interesting, but I think the music sometimes really worked. You're like, oh, that's really sci-fi and beautiful, and sometimes you're like, this is a bit not particularly great music. And there was a slight problem with Pris, whose character is a rock singer, and she has very existential, deep meaning lyrics, but of course you're watching it on subtitles, so some of the meaning either doesn't come across or feels very, very overwrought. And not necessarily the singing is particularly great. I think definitely I watched 2 episodes in dub just to see how bad it was, and I think the point that I really was like, no, I'm watching it on sub was because of Pris's singing, and the voice acting for Pris in the dub is not as good as the voice acting for Pris in the sub. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I definitely 100% would recommend watching it if you have watched it in the 80s, or if you have lived in the 80s. It's a very fun flick. It's good times. The tentacles kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies towards the end. Again, with the female nudity towards the end, which often came together, which did give me occasional creepy moments, but it's not overwrought, it's not overdone, it is still aimed at younger people. So, it's enjoyable, it's fun, and there's a lot of questions left at the end of this film, which either could be for people who really like to break down what they think and have debate with friends. It's really good because it leaves a lot of kind of open-ended questions as to whether or not something, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of open-ended questions at the end. And if you want to discuss it, it's really fun. If you're the kind of person who doesn't like any loose ends at the end of an anime, don't watch this, because at the end you will get so confused and you'll be like, who did what when? Is this a new thing? So, it's up to you, but that's my recommendation, and I hope you enjoy. I would love to hear all of your comments in the description down below. I'm sorry I'm still on my web camera. I will be catching up on my videos over the course of today, and hopefully my camera will arrive soon. I haven't even had the confirmation that's been dispatched yet, so I would try and keep up with everything on my web camera, and I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. And yes, I'll see you guys all next week.